Hello friends, hope you are well. Techman Pat here. Today we're going to be reviewing the DECO Mesh network. Now, this is the M5 version and there's a couple of things I want to mention from the get-go. First of all, this is not a Wi-Fi 6 device, and if you want to learn more about Wi-Fi 6, I will link that video below. What exactly Wi-Fi 6 is? Well, it's the next one up from Wi-Fi 5, which this is, and actually a lot of devices are. Now, there's not many devices that are Wi-Fi 6 compatible, and I don't mean that by the Wi-Fi systems like this mesh system here, but actually the mobile phones, laptops, and a lot of these things are just barely coming out. So why am I reviewing a bit of an older device? Well, first of all, because it was a very well priced compared to the actual Wi-Fi 6 version, which is double the price. So this is a 3-pack of a mesh little Wi-Fi disc that costs 250 Australian dollars from Amazon with free shipping if you have Prime. And you can get a 2-pack for 180. So Wi-Fi 6, why is it a big deal? Well, first of all, it's going to get a lot more speeds, a lot more devices connected, and a lot more extra benefit when you have a household full of little smart devices like lights, gaming devices that are not hardwired, TVs, phones, tablets, mobile, laptops, computers. However, many homes right now do not suffer from the problem that Wi-Fi 6 is solving. So first thing it's going to solve is the speed. Second thing it's going to solve is how many devices can connect to it. Well, first of all, network speeds have always been fast with LAN around 100 megabits, and we've not been able to hit that with our internet in Australia. So that's number one. Number two, there really isn't a big drive for a lot of devices. A 4-bedroom home is not going to have more than 10, and many Wi-Fi devices can handle multiple devices. Like, this isn't a problem that we're facing. So Wi-Fi 6 is really an iteration, an upgrade, and I see it working really well at cafes, at events, at large businesses, but at home, Wi-Fi 5 is still king, and that's why I do not recommend buying Wi-Fi 6 devices just yet. If you're a hardcore enthusiast, go for it. Push that button, buy that Wi-Fi 6 modem, router, Wi-Fi, or device like the new Samsung Galaxy S20. We're up to S20, that's crazy. In any case, let's talk about this device right here. This is a mesh device, and if you don't know about mesh, it's a way to connect multiple Wi-Fi receivers in areas of a home, but without the need to change to each one. Everything is handled by the system itself. You're able to walk from one area of the room or the house, and it'll always pick the best router or the best Wi-Fi spot, the disk here, to connect to and get the best connection, the best speed to your internet or the modem itself, and it will do it without you even knowing by just signing into the Wi-Fi mesh that you have at home. Now, what problem does this actually solve? I think it's the biggest problem facing people at home, and that's not having really good Wi-Fi in certain areas of the home. Now, depending on how big your home, you might only need 2 or 3. 3 I think is very reasonable. 4 is kind of, you have to have a big home. I think 3 will solve most of your problems, especially if you've got a Wi-Fi router somewhere in the house too. But I'll talk about that in a moment. So once this is set up in 3 corners of your home, you basically plug in one of them into a hardline Ethernet port, and the other ones just connect to the power. The cool thing is about this is that if you have an Ethernet cable coming in, you can actually bypass it. You plug it in here and then continue the Ethernet port further on into another device. So a real good spot is maybe the TV room that you might already have hardwired, or maybe nearby the router where you can route a cable through. Once you have this set up, by connecting it to the phone, we're going to have a look at the app in a second, you're pretty much done. You just connect the next one, go on the app, add a new device, connect the next one, add a new device, and you only have to plug it into power. You then put it in a spot where you're most comfortable with, and like I said, the good spot is near the TV, but there's also a good spot if you're far away in a couple of rooms, maybe in a hallway. There are also wall mounts available, and maybe in the living room, far to the corner where there is a plug. Now, I have a 720 square meter block that this has allowed me to use my Wi-Fi all the way out in the garden and front of the house, meaning that if I've got some music playing, it doesn't stop, it doesn't pause, and it doesn't lag. Most importantly, all the dark spots or the black spots that Wi-Fi was just not reaching to and slowing down my laptop or my phone or my wife's phone, she wasn't able to load Facebook videos has now stopped. It works really, really well. We do not have any Wi-Fi black spots in the house at all. So a little bit more about the devices. Each and every one of these has a quad-core CPU, which means it can handle a lot of devices in the home. Secondly, at 2.4 GHz, which I don't suggest using because that's not the point of it, at 5 GHz you can hit nearly 850 megabits per second. At 2.4 GHz you're going to hit 400. Now the 2.4 GHz range is really useful for your smart devices like lamps or bulbs, or maybe connected devices that make other devices smart, like switches. It works really, really well. I'm very impressed with TP-Link, how they've managed to create an ecosystem under one TP-Link cloud account, because even though the DECO app is separate, you still get to connect and log into it with your TP cloud account. Alright, we're going to navigate to the DECO app, open it up, and on the right hand side, obviously we've got a little plus button. We're going to select DECO, and we're going to choose our device. We have the M5. And we're going to find a suitable spot for it, of course. Click Next. Is the DECO light pulsing blue? Well, actually, yes it is. Press Next, and it's going to search for the new DECO device. There you have it, a new DECO device has been found. Then you select where it's going to be, and I'm going to say it's going to be in the office. There it is, it has complete. A very easy setup, and you can finish it off just like that. What it'll do, it'll check for an update of a DECO device, and it's ready to go. You don't need to do anything else apart from connecting to your mesh network, which is named exactly what you have set it up as on the first time around. A few extra bits to know about this: it has 4 internal antennas, meaning that once you place this in a corner of your home, you don't need to angle it or do anything to it. Whatever angle you do place it on, height-wise, or even on the wall flat against it, will be fine, and you'll be able to get the full range of this device. Now the mesh network is able to handle up to 64 devices. It has a coverage of 420 square meters, which means basically 2 houses right next to each other can be covered by 3 of these devices. Obviously it gets smaller as you remove a device. You can always buy 2 and then buy an extra one if you so wish. If you don't want to buy all of them at once, you can upgrade and add these as you go, as long as you get the M5. As you can see, you've got a whole lot of options. If you click into your network devices, you get to see all the devices that are connected to this device right now. There is also a list of offline devices that have been connected at one point in time but are not. Every time a new device connects, and obviously you have to give the password to somebody, a notification will pop up on your phone. Further to that, you can actually set up some smart actions. So if we tap into the bottom here, smart actions, you can create something to happen. So let's add an action, and let's say lights. Now, at the moment, we've got no lights connected, but what we can do is every time somebody connects a device to your network, a light could change color or flash. Same with the switches, and same with other network devices. So let's have a look at some of the more settings here. So we've got some home care stuff, parental controls, antivirus, QoS, monthly report managers. What I want to say is if you're going to be using this as a router, then you will be able to use this. If you want to use this as just an extension of a mesh, I mean both do mesh, but if you want your other router to control most of these things, you don't have to use it through here, which I will not be using. I haven't set it up yet, but I'll show you how to do that now. First, you can tap into Wi-Fi. You can say if it's going to have the 2.4 gigahertz setting for long range, 5 gigahertz, and 5 gigahertz is the faster one. It also means that not every device uses 5 gigahertz, so your smart lights will only do 2.4, which is fine. You can turn on a guest network, and you can also share the password to somebody else on your list. Let's tap into, well, you can do it internet test speed if you want. There you have it, 64 down, 24 up, pretty happy, whatever it is. It uses speedtest.com to do the tests. We can put onto the blacklist, which allows us to blacklist certain devices on our network, useful for when you want to kick the kids off. You can update your DECO if there is any updates, and most of the time it updates the first time you set up. And then when we tap into advanced is where the fun begins. This is a bit more advanced, and some of these options might not be necessary if you're using your router beforehand to control most of these. You can change your IPv4 settings, you can change your IPv6, and most people don't use this at home. It's usually used for much larger premises. Your DHCP server is right here, and you can change all these options, and I will be changing that again too, but I just wanted to show you your VLAN settings if you want to use those. IPTV, and most people don't use IPTV in Australia. There is a few that do. Actually, I think most people have stopped by now. You can do address reservation, which is really good if you have a device that always needs the same IP address saved, let's say maybe your cameras, and you can do port forwarding to another device if you need to port forward to maybe a camera setting or a security camera or a gaming machine that needs to host a server. You've got your TP-Link DDNS access, and most of these are also the same settings that you would use on your other devices if you have TP-Link. Now what I want to create here is operation mode, and I will be changing it to an access point because I don't want this router to be the main router that controls everything. I want my other router and modem combo to be the one that controls, and then the Wi-Fi just becomes the Wi-Fi. What this means, and if you have both TP-Link and TP-Link Mesh systems, is that you have a unifying device that this speaks to this, and you can control everything with this from the one router. So we can do that, and it'll reboot, and we're done. Now on the box it says 500 meters squared, but I'd like to suggest that take that with a grain of salt. I've read online after questioning it that 450, 420 is the perfect sweet spot. So if you've got something large, you will need to add an extra DECO device. So on summary, TP-Link has created again another app that makes setting up a mesh network at home super easy. Second of all, it actually works really well. I was so surprised how well the mesh actually works. When you walk around into each room, it connects to the strongest signal in each of the mesh devices. You don't even know, you have no interruptions, and it solves the one problem I've been facing the whole time I have been at home after having to move my Wi-Fi router into a cupboard. Well, number 3, this device is priced at 250 Australian dollars, much less than a Wi-Fi 6 device, a little bit more than other devices, but the benefit you get is actually the support behind it. TP-Link is very well known for their apps and devices. They have a 3-year warranty, and that allows you a little bit of peace of mind, and the setup is super easy, as you just saw with the app. And one other thing to note, as I mentioned, 64 devices. On the box it does say 100. Now I would suggest that these are 100 devices in total where none of them are actually pulling high speed, so I would say smart devices. But 64 heavy usage devices, you'll be all right. No problems at all. And last little feature that I want to talk about, after doing the changeover to the access point, you can see here there's some option called fast roaming, beamforming. Now what is beamforming? Well, beamforming is actually pushing the antennas, not physically but theoretically, into the area where your devices are, giving them much better speeds and connectivity without wasting power on trying to beam out towards other areas where there's no devices. That's always on by default. One thing that it isn't on by default is this option here called fast roaming by the IEEE 802.11r standard. Now this means that older devices will not be able to do this fast roaming. You will be able to do the slow roaming, which is sort of like moving across until the speed gets really bad and then it'll switch over. This one here is for much newer devices, so even if you don't have Wi-Fi 6 devices, you'll be able to take care of this one. So really old laptops probably won't be do it, but every new phone after 2018 will be able to do this, so you can turn that on if you want. It's really easy to turn on, tap and save, and that's it. So if you're in the market to sort out your Wi-Fi dead spots and you don't want to spend a whole lot of money on Wi-Fi 6 devices, this is probably a product I could happily recommend because I've had an utmost amazing and easy experience with it. It has been plug in and play with no issues. I haven't had to fight anything, I haven't had to solve any problems, and this is something I would even hand over to my parents or my grandparents for them to use at home. And I know as generations go by, grandparents will probably be very much tech savvy, but at this point in time, this is a great mesh network device. I'm very happy with it, and I'm happy to recommend it because I know that anybody who uses it is not going to have a problem because I haven't had to solve any problems thus far. Friends, thank you very much for watching. Hope this has helped you make a decision on getting any new mesh network devices, or at least a suggestion, or at least another type of product that you can compare with others. I'll be looking forward to doing more reviews of other networking and modem devices. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe if you did so, and if you want to see more, please subscribe. It does help the channel a lot. Thank you very much for watching, and bye!